This is Betty's second ride. It's more like her first because her first ride was just kind of her backing up and not really accepting any cues. But this is the second time I've gotten on her and asked her to move around. Betty was very lightly started last summer. I ended up taking back a horse that I had sold and focused more on Goose than Betty, and so she is very, very green. Again, no lunging or getting them tired before I get on them. I like to teach them just it's normal to have a person get on you without having to work first. That's just my style. There's nothing wrong if you're a person who lunges your horse before you ride. I just personally choose not to set my horses up that way. So she's not the best at flexing. She can definitely use some work on that, but this is kind of more an assessment. My phone memory is really full, so I have to keep paying attention to the recordings and like getting off and deleting old stuff so I can keep recording. I'm trying really hard not to cuss because I got a real bad mouth and it's hard for me not to cuss. So again, this is more just kind of an assessment of where she's at. I like to use the end of my rope to get them to kind of put the clucking and the leg cues and all that together for moving. Obviously, I'm not like thumping on her. I just barely light tap, tap, tap. And once they start moving, then I quit tapping. And Creaker's supposed to be overeating his hay in the stall area, but he's kind of just like, hey, what's going on? He doesn't cause a big distraction for her, which is nice. She's paying attention to me, but I do end up going and tying him up and having him eat tied up so he's not standing right in the way. Which I chose to get off of her after she did some cues that I wanted as like a little reward, and then it's also good practice. Just getting on and off a bunch of times is good for them. Because my phone memory did keep getting full, there are some things that I missed, but like nothing dramatic or just basically the same thing that is happening with Betty now with how she's reacting. So here we go again for like the third remount. I personally don't necessarily like it when my horses walk off, but some people do, but I don't. So again, one of the things that Betty does a lot is she just kind of goes backwards when she doesn't know, which is not necessarily the best. She goes forward pretty easy, but when she's unsure, she goes backward. So with that in mind, I'm not going to try to overly back her up because that's already her go-to. I want to get her soft in backing up, but I don't want to rely on the backup a lot. You know, you're kind of taught if your horse won't go forward, back them up. And right, she's doing that already. She doesn't want to go forward. She wants to back up. In my opinion, you do have to be careful with the backup because they will learn that if they don't want to move forward, they can go backwards. And I've seen horses get to when they get mad, they'll just start running backwards, which is kind of really counterproductive. I'm going to try to reward her tries a lot. I'm right here, she's doing her going backwards, so I'm just going to keep trying to ask her to go forwards or move, not to go backwards, just to do something different than going backwards on me. Betty's a really good girl. I know her personality really well, so I wouldn't necessarily recommend just getting on your green horse without doing a lot of prep work if you don't know what your horse is going to do and have a really good sense of that. So my main thing with her right now is I'm trying to get her to follow her nose, or I ask her nose to go, disengage her hindquarters with it, even if it's just a step or two, just to get her putting the pieces back together. Go forwards, go backwards. If I can get her to do that a few times, and if she gets softer when I'm asking, and she's getting a better understanding, I'll probably just call that an end of session for the day. So the next ride that we do with her, I'm not gonna worry too much about her backing up because she's pretty darn good at that. But she will need, more work with the flexing, getting loose, and walking out. She does pretty darn good, actually, for the first time in a long time, with no lunging and just being asked to walk out. I'll probably do similar like I did with Creeker and ride her up the hill and get her pudding going forward into a positive thing as well. My pin isn't very big, so I really don't spend that much time in there. It's kind of just the starting point. And it's ghetto. I did have a round pin when I was training for somebody else that was supposed to be mine, but it was one of those situations where when they left, so did the round pin. My pin is not perfect. It's pretty ghetto, but it does give me a training area while we finish building up my bigger one. You don't have to start off with a perfect arena, but you do have to be willing to put in hard work and keep reaching for your goals.